In hearing, the world of music is mourning the loss of the Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin, who's died at the age of 76.
She was one of the greatest stars of the 20th century and was also an icon in the US civil rights movement as well. Let's take a look back on her life.
Yes, the Queen of the rhythm and blues, Aretha Franklin. There she is.
Looking out on the morning rain. Put your hands on your hips and cover your eyes and move in the spirit. I wake up, I put on my makeup, I celebrate for you. Oh, yes, I do. R-E-S-P-E-C-T, and I want to meet to me. R-E-S-P-E-C-T, they can't see me.
Mayor of the City of Detroit, do hereby proclaim Friday, February 16th as Aretha Franklin Day.
And every one of our lives is almost done. Yeah. But
I was crowned the Queen of Soul. With respect to maintaining my title as the Queen of Soul, it's second nature to me. And I think just being myself, the rest will take care of itself.
Well, one person who was hugely influenced by Aretha Franklin was the R&B singer Alexander O'Neill, who joins us now. Thank you for coming into the studio so early. Based in Manchester, I know, but originally from Mississippi?
Born and raised in Mississippi, just a country boy.
Tell us what it was like then, growing up in the 60s and 70s with the influence of someone like Aretha Franklin on you, a talented musician yourself.
Aretha Franklin, I mean, you know, she influenced so many people. And, you know, coming from the southern region in the United States, she's Tennessee, I'm from Mississippi, we're like right next door. You know, we had the same kind of struggles, especially coming through the 50s and 60s with the civil rights movement. I think that was one of the things that we gravitated to Aretha for, because, you know, she had already, as we say, made it, you know, in the music industry. But to be involved with the civil rights movement and come back and be involved with that, it was really, really, I mean, it took us a long way.
Alexander, we've been looking through some of these amazing archive footage of her songs from way back to much more recent times. There was something about her voice and her delivery and her personality that came through it. Really was unique, wasn't it? How do you describe that?
I pretty much describe it as the gospel. There was a gospel aspect. You know, for her to be able to start out her career as a gospel singer and make a transition into R&B, rhythm and blues, and still keep that gospel feel in her voice, I think it was just a natural thing, you know. So that was the most intriguing thing about Aretha Franklin for me, is her still keeping that gospel thing in her voice.
She has that tag of icon, you know, and sometimes people use that loosely, but you met her once or twice, is that right?
I have met her once or twice. I did get the privilege of meeting her, and it was very brief, but she was very kind, very nice.
She had a tough upbringing. She had children when she was very young. She had difficult relationships, but she retained a kind of dignity. And one of our earlier guests described her as having a regal quality. Is that something that you picked up on?
Well, I know that she had a difficult, you know, when she was young kid, she had a difficult life, you know. But down south sometimes, you know, especially in Mississippi and down south period, you know, to overcome all of those things as a child, you know, I often say, especially on my shows, it's not actually where you come from, but it's where you're going in life. And wow, did she go somewhere, you know, she's fantastic.
We've seen the impact she had on people when she sang. I mean, and you know this better than any of us. Some people in their voices have the ability to really touch people, don't they? And, you know, we've seen some of those audiences. I think it was Barack Obama we saw in the audience there. wiping a tear from his eye. She had that in an extraordinary way, didn't she?
You know, the amazing thing about it is that she appealed to so many people. You know, there's certain people who, if you're an R&B enthusiast, you know, you might like R&B music, you might like pop, you might like rock. But Aretha Franklin, everybody loved Aretha, you know, and she just had that ability to capture everybody, and it's just unique. You know?
And she was a feminist icon, but she was also an icon for the civil rights movement, closeness to Martin Luther King. Her father had been involved in that as well from her early days. How important was she as a figure, particularly in the perhaps 1960s and 70s?
Very, very important. You know, we had certain artists who excelled in the music industry, and they also came back and gave back to the civil rights movement, like James Brown, Aretha Franklin, endless amounts of others that I could name, you know, and that was something for the younger people to hold on to, because, you know, coming out of the South, there's a lot of stigmas that you have to get over, especially about intelligence, you know. And so, you know, I was saying, there's nothing slicker than country slick, you know, so they'll lure you to sleep, but at the same time, they're very smart, you know.
Did you have a favorite song?
Oh, definitely. I mean, so many favorite songs. I think my favorite song would be You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman. Not literally.
Well, it's lovely to see you this morning. Thank you so much for
Thanks,
playing for us.
Alexander.
Thank you for having me.